Before we get started today, I would like to draw attention to a GoFundMe that my friend and the moderator of our Discord channel, Malcaria, is running. She's trying to raise money to visit her brother who is stationed in Japan. She's trying to raise $1,800 by May 16th. I had said April 28th previously. That's just because I don't know how to read. So that was my mistake. So she's trying to raise that much money by May 16th, which still isn't very long. And I'll include a link to the GoFundMe in the description. If you have any money at all that you're able to donate, I would be very appreciative if you would consider chipping it in to help my friend go and see her brother who is stationed in Japan. So, thank you very much for listening and donating any money if you do, and now let's get back to business. Okay, today we are playing a game on Dorado. We are in the Gold SR range, and we will be playing Soldier 76 the entire way through. And our current team composition is Reinhardt, Roadhog, Junkrat, Soldier 76, Zenyatta, and Anna. Oh, it was doing so well until right at the end, and then, bam, just like a giant pimple the day before the school dance, Anna had to show up right there, front and center. So in the accompanying email, we have a couple of questions. First, should I focus on breaking shields or damaging anyone that's outside and is away from the shields? The answer is almost always that you should shoot the person instead. That's the whole point of shields, is that you want to shoot at the person, but they make you shoot at the shield instead. So there are a couple of situations in which you would be more interested in breaking the shield, but like 99% of the time you want to be shooting the person. Because killing a person is the most impactful thing that you can do in the game, and breaking a shield is less impactful than killing a person. Also, if you're shooting a person, you get ult charge, and if you're shooting a shield, you don't get any ult charge. So the answer is almost always shoot the person instead of the shield. Secondarily, when it comes to communication with teammates, is there a point where you are giving too much information, and instead of being helpful, it makes it harder for teammates to understand? There is definitely a point that can happen, yes. I suppose it's better to have the issue in that direction, right? It's better to share too much information than too little information. But yes, there is definitely a point in which you can be communicating too much, basically. The whole point of communication, at least in pugs, because it gets a little bit more complicated if you're in like a full 5-man, 6-man pre-made, but if you're in solo queue, duo queue, whatever, the whole point is just to communicate important information as quickly and concisely as possible, which is just like, X is low, Y has got his ultimate, I've got my ultimate, Anna, do you have your ultimate? Great, let's combo ultimates. X needs help because they're getting dove on, Z is trying to flank us, so watch out, you know, things like that. And I did notice this a couple of times in the replay where you're kind of like, I think Genji's got his ult. I don't think you said that specifically at any point, but there's a lot of umming and ahhing before getting to the actual point. That's bad as well. And I know this is something that's like harder to break, but try not to go while trying to communicate, because that also just slows and bogs the whole thing down, and again, points to be concise and to the point, so it's harder to break, I know. This, here's advice they give to people with public speaking. If you feel the need to go or try and say something like so instead, right? Because it seems more dynamic, basically. And it's better than just going, But yes, there is a point at which you can be communicating too much, but it's better to go too far that way than too far the other way, probably. But you do want to try and keep it as concise and to the point as possible. Try to avoid having, like, full conversations with people during the game as well. I don't think that ever really happened in this game, but that annoys me when people just get into full-on conversations mid-game. Like, there's a time and a place for that. It's not during the game, really. So, now, we're standing all the way up here, and we could have gotten punished for it. As we can see, they have a Widowmaker, but it's alright. The Widowmaker is bad and didn't punish us for it, so we get away with it. Junkrat almost died. He saw that there was a Widowmaker and then chose to stay over there anyway. I suddenly feel like I'm about to die. That's a lot better. So we just killed Widowmaker, a soldier, so she's no doubt very upset about that. And her team are probably already bullying her over that one. They also have a Bastion. Bastion's dead now. So this is basically the dream for a soldier on this map. We're just kind of getting to sit up here uncontested. So if you see somebody get tranked as soldier, We're kind of still shooting at her anyway, at him while this is happening. But, well, while he's getting tranked. But when you see someone get tranked as soldier, try and, like, leave the person on the ground for as long as possible. Because if Reinhardt can get his charge off cooldown before the sleep runs out, that's a lot more impactful than you getting a shot or two into the dude before he wakes up, right? So, if you, sometimes you're shooting at the person and get tranked, like, midstream of bullets, but if you can, you don't want to just shoot them as soldier, because there's usually more impactful cooldowns that can be used on the person while they're asleep. So Genji's trying to kill us right now. It's hard for Genji to kill soldier because of Biotic Field, and he, in fact, did not kill us. Bastion just got hooked in. Moira's dead, Genji's dead, Bastion's dead, they lost. We're kind of hanging around Ana right now because we're trying to use our Biotic Field for Ana. And, because, Zenyatta's a selfish hoe, I don't know. So now we're gonna come back up here. We got fucking all of our ultimates right now, so hooray. Bastion's using his ultimate, which is kind of spooky. We get back out of the way. Honestly, I'm not that afraid to, like, stay up there and keep fighting, because it's, like, Bastion's gotta hit you dead on from that angle to actually kill you, so I'm not super scared about it. Genji tried to kill us again, but he's still bad, so that didn't work out. Now Bastion's dead again. As you can see, the enemy team are making a really solid effort right now to try and kill us. Oh, good heavens. So this is a situation where we, should be shooting at someone other than Reinhardt. We know that Moira is, like, right underneath us right now, because we can see her stream of, healing energy right underneath us, and instead we're shooting at Reinhardt's shield. There's, like, Zarya's in front of the shield as well. We should be shooting at something other than Reinhardt's shield. Reinhardt's shield is very close to breaking, mind you, I suppose, so, but, there were people out in the open that we could have been shooting at instead, and it is better to shoot at people instead of shields, generally. So now they have a Pharah, which is, a better pick, probably, and, hopefully it was the Bastion that changed. It was the Bastion that changed. Okay, hooray. Genji's still bad, though, so, you know. So we've got to try and focus Pharah now. We've got an Ana and a Zenyatta as well. Here's the Pharah. She's crept up on us. We haven't seen her in a while, so you could kind of intuit that this is coming. It's very unusual for Pharah to go all that way under you, but, like, we haven't seen her in a while. And Pharah is someone that you generally know where Pharah is, so if you haven't seen Pharah in a while, you should be wondering to yourself, where's Pharah? It's been a while. So, I'm not exactly opposed to this maneuver, but you really need Helix Rocket up to do this, because otherwise you are going to have to shoot that Pharah real good to kill her. And Helix Rocket still had like a few seconds left. If we had Helix Rocket up, I'm not opposed to that maneuver, because all you've got to do is shoot her a couple times and hit her with the rocket. But if you haven't got Helix Rocket, that suddenly gets a lot harder for you to kill Pharah than for Pharah to kill you. In general, like, Pharah would still have an easier time to kill you, but, like, if you had Helix Rocket, that would have gone a lot better, probably. So, I was thinking that now is a pretty good time to use Tac Visor, because those two people are floating around in the air. Let me actually draw so that everybody can see, instead of me just vaguely being like, oh yeah, them. We can see these two people are pretty up in the air, and there isn't much for them to do. Pharah can try and drop down here behind cover, and, I mean, Mercy's fast, but they're both up in the air, so we can try and kill them with Tac Visor. But the thing is that it looks like we've lost this fight, so this is not a good time to use Tac Visor, and we have indeed lost this fight. It's, you know, we could shoot some people with that ultimate, but, no, feels bad. Nope, she gets away with it anyway. Damn. We could shoot some people with the Tac Visor, but it just looks like we've already lost the fight, and we have lost the fight indeed. So, Tac Visor is a very scary ultimate, but if your team aren't around to draw aggro off of you, the entire enemy team is just going to very suddenly turn and start killing you, which is less than ideal. That cactus was giving us a real run for our money right there, boy howdy. So it takes us a while to get up here, but they've been waiting for the gate to open anyway, so it's not exactly the end of the world that it takes us a while to get up here. So we decide that we're going to shoot into Reinhardt. Reinhardt is certainly easy to hit, so there's that, but Mercy is a much higher priority target than Reinhardt, or the Pharah. It's just one of those things that, like, yeah, this boy is big and easy to hit, so that's certainly a tempting target, but, like, her are much higher priority targets, and they don't know we're here. So it's not impossible that you kill them from just behind like that. Genji comes up here. Genji's still bad. That hasn't changed, so this is going to go in our favor. Look at that. Wasn't even really close. Wasn't that just very depressing? So both their tanks are dead now. Oh, she's going to get beat. Mercy is actually going to revive her, which is not exactly a recommended maneuver in this situation, but she went for it. So now, we get to play Soldier on Dorado's second checkpoint, which is, this is some of the strongest high ground in the entire game. Also, yeah, you can go around on the edge right here. Not a lot of people know that, actually. You can go around the rim of this building like that.
61 right now.
The scary thing is that, like, you know those attractions at the fairground where it's just the wooden duck going back and forth in front of it? Yeah, it's kind of like what you are if you're doing that in front of the enemy team. So you generally, you know, something you need to know you aren't going to get killed when you make that run. So Farah's coming over here for us. Oh god, oh god, oh Jesus, oh no. That's where you open the chat and you go, alright, chill. But so that didn't exactly go ideal, you know, aim better. Easy money, good advice, solid. So we've almost got Tac Visor. The enemy team are making some progress, but not a huge amount of progress. Just general thing, as Soldier, you can go along the right path really quickly and get up here, and this is a good place to be. Or you can go up the left, or if you're scared to go up that way, because the enemy team are getting some momentum, instead you can just go this way instead, and then you're up there and you can see this whole area, and high ground's really strong, and there's like the small health kit over there if you really need it, blah 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 blah. High ground's really strong, so when you're coming back as Soldier, if there is a quick path you can take that gets you to high ground, you should highly consider taking that path to the high ground, because Soldier is probably the most overpowered hero on high ground.
From my ult right now.
Fucking every time I unpause the video, fucking sound drivers, Jesus Christ. So, anyway, now we're fighting on the low ground where the fucking common folk have trodden with their filthy feet. Farah's trying to kill us. Farah has, in fact, killed us, which is somewhat suboptimal. Aim better. Hooray. We do have Tac Visor. This is another reason to go up to the high ground, is because we have Tac Visor, and using that on the low ground is much, much scarier. So we come up around here. Oh, here comes Mercy. We actually kill her without using Tac Visor, even though she was using Valkyrie, which is not something you see every day. This is very nitpicky. Try not to stand perfectly still while you're firing at somebody like we do right here, because if you are standing perfectly still, it is just significantly easier to kill you. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not saying a Widowmaker is about to spontaneously appear in this game and one-shot you, but if you stand perfectly still while you're shooting, it just makes it easier for someone to kill you, and sometimes that matters, so try not to stand perfectly still while you're shooting at somebody. And I know you're focused, you like really want to kill the Moira and stuff, but try not to stand perfectly still while you're firing at somebody. So they've only got one fight left. We've got Tac Visor, and we're on one of the best high grounds in the game for Tac Visor, because there isn't much for them to hide behind. Here comes Farah. She's behind us right now. Genji's coming at us. He's still bad, so, you know, we just kind of leave. And don't stay on the payload. Now we're going to quickly go around this way. So this is, like, we want to get to the high ground. Don't do that. That's so excessive. Just take the staircase. The thing is that doing this removed us from the fight for a really long period of time, and there has been a fight, like, actively happening while we were making this trip up to the high ground. So if you're gonna remove yourself from a fight for an extended period of time, i.e. like 5 seconds, you need a really good reason to do so, and you need to be really sure that it's gonna work as well. Because you don't want to remove yourself from a fight that's actively happening. This is why if you want to reset on high ground between fights, going up on the high ground during the fight is a lot riskier, because your team are fighting 5v6 in the best case scenario while you're doing that, which you don't want to have to make your team do. So we see Mercy up there, and we thought about taking the shot. The video is
Flank left side, go behind.
there we go. All right, we're going all around the left-hand side. This is not what Soldier is good at, and I do not recommend doing this basically ever, because Soldier is really bad at flanking. If you're gonna flank, like, look, this goes so much better than it has any right to, and it's very upsetting that it did. This is, like, you should get punished for this, but we don't get punished for it because they're bad. That's not what Soldier is good at. If you're gonna flank, you want to do it, like, while you've got Tac Visor, but even then, like, Soldier is still not good at flanking. If you want to flank, just pick a flanker. Don't try and flank on someone like Soldier and Genji, because the chances of it backfiring horribly on you are much higher than the chances of it actually going well for you. It went well in this situation, which makes it feel good to do, but like it is drastically unlikely for it to go that well. Because it's one of those plays that revolves around the enemy team just not responding to you properly. And any play that revolves around the enemy team playing badly is itself a bad play. So we're taking the time to come up here and get up onto the high ground. You know, you can do this as Soldier, and it doesn't actually take that long to get up there, because Soldier is a fast boy, despite being old. And while the gate is opening, there isn't really very much for you to do on Dorado, right? There are checkpoints that are like this, where there's this long gate opening process, like Dorado, Hollywood. Third checkpoint has the gate opening. What's another one? Eichenwald, you know. Takes a while for the gate to open, and there isn't much for you to be doing on the payload at the time. So if you can go and do something productive while the gate is opening, you should go and do something productive while the gate is opening. So we're basically trying to flank a Soldier again right now, which is still not a recommended maneuver because it's still not what Soldier is good at. We have managed to get control of the high ground, but just, like, stay over here. There's, like, no reason to go that far over. That's just, like, getting real close to the enemy team. So we've been agonizingly close to having Tac Visor this entire time. We could have had it if we were a little more productively doing damage, because that's the whole point of Soldier, is that he does a very consistent stream of DPS, so if you want to just be doing as much damage as possible at all points in time. So, you're not going to kill Junkrat at that point anymore. Like, I know we want it, but, like, he's being healed by Mercy and Moira. Moira is, like, an insane healing, and then Mercy's here as well. You should just change to shooting at one of the healers at that point, because you're not going to kill Junkrat through Moira and Mercy healing him. You might as well just start shooting at one of the healers instead. Could have argued for using Tac Visor, but honestly the fight under us wasn't exactly going very well at the time, so... So, now, we lost momentum right there, which is very sad, but this checkpoint is quite easy to attack in actuality. It's just most people don't like to regroup, which is the actual issue. As we can see, we're actually making an effort to regroup right now as a team, which is absolutely incredible. Not Roadhog over there, but his name is Anxiety, so, you know, we'll just say the nerves got the better of him in that situation. So, enemy team... Only have Reinhardt as their tank, so, you know, that's good for us. They're based entirely around Bastion, and I suppose they have Genji as well. So we're gonna come back up around here again. There's no reason not to do this, really. You know, our team are regrouping right now. The fear is that while you're doing this, your team tries to push forward while you're moving up here, so the fact that you're gonna be coming up this way is something that you want to communicate that you're doing to people. Go down there and pick up the large health kit before you go over this way, because you are very easy to one-shot right now, and there's a large health kit in that courtyard right behind you. You don't even have to use Biotic Field, you can just go pick up the health kit, and then you're good to go again. As I was saying, so it doesn't take that long to get up here, and it's pretty risk-free to do so, because people are not usually hanging out on the right-hand side for defense, but it does take you some time to get over there, so if your team don't know that you're doing that, and then they start pushing in without you, they can end up losing that fight, because they're pushing in 5v6, so it is good to communicate that, like, oh, I'm going up this way now. Because, you know, people are bad, so, like that guy right there. He's dead now. Here comes Genji again. He's probably upset. Like, at this point, he's just gonna run straight at us because he feels like he has to kill us at least once, you know? He came really close last time, but he didn't quite do it. So we spent a really long time looking for him right now, rather than looking down and trying to take part in the team fight below us. Even though we're winning the fight below us right now, and we have Tac Visor. So, like, instead of looking for Genji, we can just go over that, like, we could just come over here way sooner. We could even just use Tac Visor on Genji, honestly, because we're, like, starting to win the fight under us. Or we just go over there, use Tac Visor from up here and kill the rest of their team, and then we haven't got to push it very far. So, like, yeah, Genji being behind us is kind of spooky, but, like, we're about to win the game right under our feet, so we should really be worried more about that than the Genji. So there goes the Pharah. Yeah, she's dead now. So, what I will say about this game is that we never use Tac Visor well this entire game, because, like, we're gonna win. Don't worry about it. We're gonna win. Like, we never used Tac Visor that well during this entire game, and, like, Tac Visor is a very strong ultimate, and we never really got any value out of it at all this entire game, which is sad. It's like, you know, if a Genji won a game without ever actually using Dragon Blade very well, I'd be like, well, good job, Genji, but, like, Dragon Blade is, like, the best thing about you, so you should be more concerned about that. So let's see what we've got here. Once again, we got several of my own videos, so that's cool. A brief history of Myst. Alright, great. Myst's a terrible video game, but, you know, I do watch these, so that's fair enough. Crazy science shit, yes. Very crazy, boring-looking man in front of white background with computer, and... Alright, okay. So, we never really used Tac Visor very well during this entire game. And, like, it's one of those games where we didn't need it, because the enemy team were, like, really bad, but Tac Visor is a very important part of Soldier, and we never really got any value out of it this entire game. So, that's very sad. And then the other thing is, in general, we didn't have great uptime. Like, the whole point of Soldier is that he does very consistent DPS, right? And we spend, like, a lot of time repositioning and, like, looking for people rather than just, like, doing damage to people. Even if you're looking for someone, like, ideally you're still doing as much damage during the time as possible. You're looking to do as much DPS as is physically possible. Because that's kind of Soldier's whole thing. He does very consistent DPS. And, you know, so because he does a very consistent DPS, Tac Visor is also one of the quicker charging ultimates just because of, like, how Soldier is. Especially if the enemy team decide that they're gonna go fucking Roadhog and Diva. It's just two big ult battery tanks on the enemy team for you to charge up off of. And then target prioritization, you know, but we kind of, like, talked about that in the email right at the start as well, you know, like shooting at shields and tanks when we could be shooting at somebody else, you know. The whole point of the tanks is that we want to be shooting at somebody else, but the tanks make us shoot at them or their shield. So if we can shoot at a support or a DPS, that is almost always more productive. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you felt I answered your questions from the email inadequately, please let me know and I will try to expand further. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us, and I hope you found the video helpful.